Evening, everyone. I think it's Friday, the 26th of August, or 27th or 28th. Tonight we've got Blake Santos. His Instagram's Yakisoba. He's been tattooing around 12 years now. I think he's maybe just turned 30, 31. We'll find out all those details, but it's going to be a good one tonight. He's one of my favourite, younger, most people are younger compared to me, younger tattooers out there. He's travelled a lot up and down the East Coast. He's gone overseas. He's got an amazing tattoo collection, a very unique Japanese style. So, he's going to have some good stuff to talk about. So we'll bring Blake into the room and see what we're going to talk about this Friday night. Well, wherever you are and you're all doing good in these current times, and, looks like there's light at the end of the tunnel. Blake!
What up, mate?
How are you, buddy?
Good, man. How are you?
Mate, are you in a disco?
Yeah, I'm just at a club.
Nice. Nice.
Just trying to get
Obviously an illegal one.
Yeah. You want to come by? I've got some tickets on sale.
Nice, nice. Are you doing your own secret Stereosonic?
Yeah. Stereosonic 2009.
Amazing, mate. Amazing. Yeah. How you doing anyway today?
Yeah, good, man.
Cool.
Today's gone super quick, eh? I just had a blink and here we are.
It does, mate. It's strange, isn't it? I was up early. I was up at 6, but still, bang, the day's gone. You just and you start to think to yourself, how the fuck did I do so much before?
Well, I'm starting to think maybe they've turned up the times or something, because I just can't believe it.
It's quite possible, So the world's definitely taken a hit this last year or so. So who knows? It's been knocked off its axis, that's for sure.
Yep.
So, cool. All right, mate. Thanks so much for joining us this Friday night. Taking some time out of your busy schedule. So always, you've seen a few of these and everything, and we chatted. So it kind of always starts off what was your first? We'll do it in a two-part thing. When did you first become aware of tattoos, and then what was your first tattoo that you ever got?
Yeah, so to be honest, it kind of goes back and forwards a little bit. So my uncle, he had tattoos. He's a bit of a biker looking guy, shaggy hair, big beard, big fat, freaking.
Sounds like a cool dude.
Yeah, he lived in Redfern and around these areas in his early years, so he was around all that shit and a bit of a punk and outcast. So he had a couple tattoos on his forearms, but I couldn't really recall them too much as a kid, which is weird, because now when I see him, I recognize all these old school tattoos, and I'm like, why didn't I ever really see these? So
cool.
Probably subconsciously, that's where I would have seen them to begin with, and then probably when I was about 16, I was into music and playing in a band and stuff. My dad's a drummer, so he's been drumming for 50 years.
Yeah, cool.
He's 73 now, so
wow.
I got into playing music, and at the time, all the bands I was listening to were just heavily tattooed, young guys, in their 20s and stuff. So
yeah, nice.
That's where I most definitely saw tattoos and wanted that image, because it sort of all fell into part, so
how old were you then, in your late teens or something, or 15, 16?
I would have finished up when I was 18. So I started when I was probably 16. Playing in a full proper band, playing shows and proper gigs and stuff with PCYCs and a lot out west.
Were you a drummer as well?
Yeah, I was a drummer.
Yeah, nice.
I still drum. It's kind of music's my second part with tattooing. So yeah, all came back to music and bands and stuff, and that image. I just wanted to look like that, and then sort of it went from there, I guess.
Yeah, cool. Who'd you get your first tattoo from then?
So I would know the name if you told me.
Yep.
But he worked at level 2 tattoo.
Yep.
In the city. He had an accent.
Rao.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ralph.
someone like that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's I think he said South American or Spanish.
Yeah, like had kind of longish, like mid-long hair. He
Yep.
was just up there by himself.
Yep.
That's when I was 17.
Yeah,
So
wow.
I had a few friends from like the little music community.
Yep.
A couple of chick mates that took me. We went to Newtown first.
Yep.
I was underage, scared shitless.
Yeah,
I had like,
yeah.
you know, for weeks and months before, I had sketches and shit. I'd be drawing up to take into the guy. I actually had one of the sketches on my wall for like 6-7 years at my dad's house.
Wow.
So I have to dig that up. It's a little tribal thing, probably like this big.
Yep.
But I think what happened around that time was my pop passed away, so I wanted to get like his name tattooed on me. So we went on a little bit of a tour. I think it might have been probably the first time I ventured out of Western Sydney.
Yeah, wow.
And seen the city, and we drove to Newtown. I got refused from 2 places.
Yep.
The girls knew like a bloke that worked at, I don't even know, it could have been Skin Deep. It probably was Skin Deep. But they were like, no, we're not going to do it. So that was a lucky last. And I went up there and, you know, on the spot, like sat down and zapped me away. And you know what? He did an awesome job, but like I still look at it now and like I can't even do it that good. It's just his name.
Whereabouts on your body was it?
So it's on my chest, on my pec.
Yeah, nice.
It's still there. Like it's just like a cursive.
Yeah, cool.
Computer font, but yeah.
Ralph's a good guy. He worked there for a long time, and then he went and worked at Bondi Inc. for a long time.
Yeah,
then he went up to the Gold Coast, and he worked at Borderline Tattoo for maybe 5 or 6 years. And in the last 2 years, he's just opened up his own shop in Currumbin called The Right Hand.
Wow, he's still around.
Yeah, he's actually doing Benji Tobin's back piece at the moment.
Yeah,
like, Ralph's a great artist.
Yeah, from what I can recall,
Yep.
I did see him like at some shows or something, or like maybe online, and I remember seeing his work, and like I pretty much hit the jackpot getting my first.
Yeah, very, very lucky.
tattoo.
That's cool, man.
Like as simple as it was.
Yep.
Like I've done 1,000 script tattoos, and like computer fonts sometimes can be pretty tricky to do as well. So
mate, totally.
My
like
first one.
Script, like the crazy thing is now, like we get people calling. I'm sure a lot of tattoo shops get this. People either emailing or ringing up, going, "Oh, I want someone that's really good at lines. I want someone that specializes in fine lines or lettering." And you're kind of like, instead of trying to explain it to them, you're like, yeah, we've got the perfect person here for you. And anyone, it's like a very good skill to have, and it's, you know, but to do nice script back then, it was, you definitely stood out from the crowd.
Yeah. That was a good little experience, man. Like, it was only a tiny studio. I think it only had like two chairs in there. Like, you've probably been in there before. Yeah.
So a guy called Steph used to run it, and then Raoul worked there, and another guy called Paulie Surridge worked there at the time as well. And I think Matt Fink worked there for a little bit too. And I think in the end it either closed or it was closed down, something along that. And then, but it was there for a long time. So after that tattoo, what did you do then? Did you start getting a few more, or what started to spark the interest that maybe I want to do this?
Yeah, so after I got that, I jumped on the train back to Blacktown, and I just remember sitting in the carriage, just thinking I'm the coolest guy ever.
Oh, it's the best, isn't it?
Like, it was under my shirt, I had Glad Wrap, it was bloody, and I just remember sitting there going, I feel fucking mad, like, I feel like the coolest cunt ever. So instantly, I told all my mates about it, and one of my mates from Mount Druitt, his next door neighbour owned the tattoo asylum in Mount Druitt.
Oh,
Yeah, so Wayne, he owned that. So he's like, you can go there, man. Like, he's my neighbour. Like, I've known him since I was freaking, like, he was probably 17 as well. So for 17 years, he's known this guy. He's got a studio. So I think probably like a week later, I was booked in.
Yeah, cool.
I booked in for like a tramp stamp to be like just the top. But, you know, I had like, I went to the Tattoo Temple in Para randomly one night. that was probably a week after, and
Yep.
I got like 2 diamonds.
Yep.
And a sparrow on
Yep.
my lower back on my hip.
Yep.
And then he did a shit job. It was just an outline.
Yep.
It was fucking a weird experience. Like, he was a cunt to me. You know, he charged me fucking top dollar.
Yep.
And then that's when I spoke to my mate. And then
Yep.
a week later I was booked in, and he replicated the other thing on the other side.
Yeah.
And then I think that's it, man. I was like,
booked.
Yeah, like, because when I went to the tattoo asylum, like, the owner was super nice to me. Like, he was a biker. He had big, long white beard and a massive ball ring and bald head, and he was like a skinny, tall guy. And like,
So a young kid,
it was
that's
just cool.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, like, he had like a couple Harleys out the front. There was like a Mazda Rotary Ute parked in front of the shop. Like,
nice.
It was just a proper old school studio.
Tough.
So
Yeah.
it was just fun, and I was like, I need to find a way to get in here, and that's kind of when it was a bit more serious for me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy. What then led from that to you to get, say, an apprenticeship? Did you start, were you already drawing, doing a lot of art? Or did you just start drawing?
Yeah, I was doing, for probably 2 years before, I was interested in tattoos.
Yep.
This would have been, as corny as it sounds, when Miami Ink was on TV.
Yeah.
So I was watching all that, and I was in the band, and I just got a few tattoos. So I think, and prior to that, when I was a child, so my mum's a teacher.
Yeah.
And after school, I'd go to one of her mates' places and paint for like 2 or 3 hours a day. So I kind of thought I knew how to do art already, because I did 2 years of painting, like watercolor, fucking flowers and stuff. So I thought, I think by then I'd been to Wayne like 2 or 3 times. He was doing a half sleeve on me. And then I was just in his ear. I'm like, how do I do it? Like, what do I need to do? Like, you know, and he's like, you need to draw. So I think I had maybe 5 or 6 appointments with him. And each time I went back, I had drawings. And he was telling me, he's like, we're going to have an apprentice spot coming up soon. Like, so next couple months, if you're ready, like, we'll give you a shot. And that went on for like a year. And he hired probably 3 apprentices. And I was like, this guy's just taking me for a ride, eh? Like, so, but the good thing about him, like, I bought some machines off him for $50, some workhorse machines, and then I just started tattooing out of my bedroom.
Nice.
And I probably did, like, I was still drawing, and I was popping in to see him and showing him my stuff and that. But after he'd hired like a few guys, I was like, I don't know, like, this guy's, like, I thought he was my mate, and I was just a child at the time, so
but even so, like, even if he was, you know, stringing you along a little bit, it still gave you that motivation to keep drawing and keep producing. But pretty cool that he sold you machines.
Yeah, it was good, man. I think I still got the frames laying around.
Awesome.
Good machines too. I think after that, so I had a mate who was getting 2 full sleeves off a guy from Tattoo Temple. It was all bio work. And I tattooed his mate. And he went to the appointment with that bloke. With a fresh tattoo, and the artist, he's like, who did that little skull? It's pretty nice. And then he's like, oh, my mate Blake did. He's looking for a shop. And then I think he's the owner of that shop. His brother owned Infamous in Maryland. So it all happened so perfect, eh? Like, so one of the guys from there, he went to Europe and for a month, and they were looking for someone to come in and fill the spot. And then I got a phone call from one of the guys there, and they're like, oh, you want a tattoo, blah, 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 come down and see us. I'm like, yeah, I want to come give it a go. And I think a couple of days later, I popped in there and showed them my stuff. And because I had a full sleeve by then, no one in the shop had sleeve. I'd never even really seen one. It was pretty crazy, that studio.
You looked the part.
yeah, he's like, you look cool. Like I had tunnels and long hair, and you know, I was like, fucking, give me a go. And, like, I'd already been to like 7 shops looking for jobs since then.
Yep.
So I went all the way up to the Central Coast even looking for jobs. I think it was Blacktown Tattoo,
Yep.
the Golden Needle in Blacktown as well.
Yep.
Tattoo Nation.
Yep.
You know, I was trying to get in. I think back then it was a bit tricky with apprentices too.
Yep.
So I didn't have much luck, but yeah, when they called me from Maryland's, it worked out. I actually went in there and they thought I could tattoo. Like,
yep.
I'd done like 8 tattoos.
Yeah.
And I had
thrown in the deep end.
Yeah, and that time the studio was crazy, man. Like, when I think about it now, I was like, how the fuck, like, was this shit going on, like, in the street shop, like, you know? So I had a couple bikies on the front desk, and they're like, oh, come on, mate, fucking sit down, fucking tattoo me, do me. I'm like, no, wait, man. Like, I don't even know what the fuck I'm doing. So I got into a bit of an argument, and they weren't happy that I showed up, like, not confident, ready to tattoo. And I just said to him, man, I go, please, if you can give me a shot, I guarantee you I'll be the best worker. That's all I can. That's all I can do. I've fucking been everywhere. This is it. Like, if I don't get a job here, I think I'm gonna have to give this up. Like, too hard. And he's like, I like that. He's like, tell your boss to get fucked, and we start tomorrow. I was like, beautiful. Yeah.
Mate, and what was it then? Was it just like a crash course, or were they bringing in all the crew and you just tattooing them all and getting your skills up that way?
No. I ran the shop for like 6 months.
Yep.
I did all the bookwork. So I did all the pay, rent. I did all the phones. I bloody fucking learnt like business. You know, in 6 months. So yeah, I was running the front desk. I was doing drawings for clients. So we used to have like a little white tray, and when clients or customers would come in, I'd write down the description, and if it was easy enough, I'd draw it up, and I'd take $10 out of their deposit, and that would go to me. And if it was a sleeve, it would be $50. And it was simple shit like scripts and stars and just drawing up the stencil. So I started making money just through like drawing designs for the artists. So, I wasn't getting paid there. I didn't get paid until maybe 6 months. I got $50 a week. Because I think after 6 months, somehow I ended up convincing one of the guys to get me a loan for 30 grand. And I had like a WRX. So I was like, I need money.
Priorities.
So it was just funny, hey, like anything goes back then, like no rules. So
but mate, fair play. Like that's like, you know, I hear of things now where people are paying for apprenticeships, or they're paying money to even just do a pre-apprenticeship sort of thing, or they're getting $50 a day or $100 a day, apprentices on 20%, 30%, that sort of thing. So, you know, like hearing that now compared to what you were doing, now's easy.
I honestly, at the time, I was so happy that I was in the studio.
For sure, you do it for free or fuck all.
And the thing is too, if I even spoke about money, I'll get slapped. I'll just get slapped. Like, these guys were no joke and shit. So I was at that time I was 19. Full of testosterone. Living in Blacktown. You know, you can only put 2 and 2 together. Like, I was fueled by rage. I was working in a tattoo studio. I was working for bikies. I was like, you know, like, you really was stepping on eggshells like every day. With these guys. So you learn to adjust quickly, and you really learn what these guys were like, and you had to play by their rules, because you're never gonna win. You know,
consequences are real.
But it's all a part of the journey, man. Like, I'm here now, so I love every second of it. You know, like.
It's like, well, I was talking with Pat a while ago, and I think, was Pat there at the same time?
Yeah, Pat was there probably 6 months or a year after me.
Yeah,
But the
and
thing
like
is,
there's
that's
a few of you younger guys out there like yourself, Pat. I think was Corbin there 613.
Curtis, yeah.
Curtis, yeah.
Yeah.
And then also like Dean Reardon that works with us, like with Greg, Dan Rhodes. There's a few younger guys that yourself included that have seen. It's sort of, Pat summed it up perfectly. It's like Last of the Mohicans. It's like the
Yeah.
last crazy era of tattooing before it came super safe and super vanilla.
Yeah. I think
Where
I got
it's
5 years of that.
yeah, yeah. Which those 5 years are probably more than tattooers now will ever see in a lifetime of tattooing. You
Yeah.
know, it's just a different time. But, you know, it gives you amazing life experiences and, you know, probably part of the reason you are where you are today, you know. So with all of that, what was then the transition from doing those drawings and the counter work to starting to tattoo and then go from there? Because you were there for quite a few years, weren't you?
Yeah, I was there for like a good 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
talk
So,
us through like when you started tattooing and how it built up and you know that sort
yeah.
of thing.
So, yeah, like I said, I did 6 months of like real hardcore apprenticing.
Yep,
Then Pat and Kurt came. They came, I don't know, maybe 2 months apart from each other.
yep,
And then they took on that role, and I was their boss.
yep.
You can imagine me like,
At
Pat's probably
2021 or
watching
something.
it, you know,
Yeah,
Pat's probably watching, probably going, I fucking used to hate you, cunt. Like, but
yep,
hey, I'd been shut on for 6 months. I'd been like conditioned from this little dude to like something else now. So yeah, I
yeah,
was calling the shots. You know, I was teaching them the ways, and
yep,
by that time, Facebook and like that was pretty like it was like Instagram. So
yep,
everyone I knew I was a tattoo artist. So I had like a line of dudes wanting to get
yep,
work. And then the studio at the time, it was doing so well there. Like it was fucking. We had every single day we had 5, 6 guys in the shop,
yep,
like clients. So there was enough work, small jobs for me to do,
yep,
and I just got passed down. Like it pretty much it went in priority. So obviously, so the guy that was running it was Chris Sunke. He
yep,
was like our senior artist who was just like at the time just crazy, like just could do anything, like
yep,
no dramas. So he would take all the good jobs, and then there was the next guy,
yep,
Terry and Rodney, and they'd take all the other jobs, and then it would go down to me, and I'd take all the smaller jobs.
yep,
And then the funny thing is that at the time that Chris, Terry, and Rodney, so Terry owns it's called Pretty and Ink.
yep,
Yeah, so he took over that place. So he was mentoring me with another guy, Rodney,
yep,
and Chris Sunke was mentoring me at the same time.
yep.
And
Cool.
those guys had 2 years experience in the
Yeah,
studio. Yeah,
yeah,
so I was learning from guys that have been tattooing for 2 years,
yeah,
which
yep,
is pretty crazy. So at that time, it was hard for me to really like take it serious. Like, what do you know?
yeah,
Like, you're fucking 2 years into tattooing. Like,
yep,
but it was a real young studio. It was super young,
yeah,
man. Like, there wasn't
yeah.
much of an
Full
age
of young
gap.
blood, mate.
Yeah, it was good. So yeah, just went in priority, man, and um, I can barely remember. Just
Yep,
it just went so quick. That five
yeah.
years went out the window.
So all that time as well, like say, let's talk about like your own tattoo collection. Then you said you know, when you went there, you had a sleeve and no one else at the shop had sleeves then or had seen them. Were
Yeah,
you then, you know, you're saying like, you know, 2 years, I couldn't take them too seriously. Were you then starting to look outside of the studio? Were you getting
yeah,
tattooed by other people, starting to go to conventions you know, fulfill that quest for knowledge and experience and stuff?
yeah. So pretty much, I reckon, fuck, a year and a half into tattooing.
Yep,
I think it might have been the last Homebush show
yep,
or the second last Homebush show. The shop we went as a shop, and I was tattooing there like 1 year or 2 years into tattooing. Like, yeah, this is mad. Look at all these guys. Like, you know, I'm so cool. Blah blah blah. Like, had the lanyard on, like
yep,
VIP and shit. You know, so I think that's what really like just blew my brain up. I was like, fuck me dead.
yep,
Like, this industry is massive. Like,
yeah,
and I'm in it. Like, and I have the key
yeah,
to like do anything. And that's when Dong Dong was there.
yep,
And I seen him. I didn't even know much about tattooing at this time, so I saw him doing this leg sleeve over 3 days, and I was like, fuck, I need to get a booking with this guy. And
I think that was around the time he brought out that Food Dog book.
yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still got that book. So
Yeah.
I think from then, it took me a year to get a booking with him because he came the following year.
Yeah.
And I got a booking with him at Olympic Park.
Yep.
Yeah, the Homebush. That would have been the last one, sorry. So I did a show there. I seen him, and then I got tattooed off him the next year.
Yep.
And I remember sending him probably 20 emails.
Yep.
You know, and each email was different. Like, I want to get back piece. I want to get a sleeve. No, don't worry. I want to get my leg done now. And like, just typical head case.
Yeah, mate. I did similar stuff when I was young too. I'm going to get a back job from this guy, and then, I want to get one from this guy. But you just, your mind's just been blown.
Yeah, and I was so lucky because it got blown by one of the greatest artists to date still. You know? So I think when I started getting tattooed off him, that's when, like, because that journey was over about 4 years as well. So I only got to see him once a year, and then I went to China to finish it off.
What did you get tattooed by him, first of all?
So he's done my whole arm.
Yep.
It's got like a food dog on my forearm.
Yep.
Just a whole, the whole back of my arm is just clouds.
Yep.
And then I got like a Buddha kind of lady on the top. And then he's done like a god thing on my hands.
Yep.
Yeah, and he didn't speak a word of English.
Yep.
And he gave me this sketchbook, you know, this weird book. I've never even seen a book like this before. Like, he's so Chinese and old school that it's like, it's a history lesson just spending time with this guy. Like,
100%. Yeah, he's one of the first OG tattooers in China.
Yeah. And like, you can tell that straight away. Like, he's respected, and you don't even know the guy. Like, because I knew when I was getting tattooed off him, even sitting in that chair, I felt like special to be his client, you know? I felt, fuck, like, I'm getting all these points, like, you know, like, you know, and artists were coming over and go, fuck, that's so cool, man, you're so lucky, fucking, you know? And for years after that, I got stopped at every show, and, you know, people recognize the sleeve, and, you know, I remember actually coming home from that show, like, I don't even know how I got home, to be honest. I was that, like, out of it from the amount of pills I took. But I just remember looking in the mirror and going, what the fuck, like, what have I done? Like, like, this guy's just done the best thing ever on me. Like, you know, with, like, coils at an expo with no lighting, all freehand, no armrest, no fancy shit, like, just scraps and weird setups. Like, he had this one big, massive, like, soup container full of ink, you know, and, like, had all these sprays and misters and shit, and, like, you know, I was just like, like, I just didn't know what was going on, you know?
He's a special person. I've been lucky to travel a lot with him and spend a lot of time with him, man. Like, he's one of my heroes, dude. He's like, a couple of years ago, me, Cole, Yoshi, Garth, Tom, a few others, we all spent a couple of weeks with him. We went to the China Tattoo Show, and you know yourself, he's just got such a big heart, takes you around, and he's so pumped on tattooing and artwork. You can't help but just be inspired, and you just want to be better just by being around him.
Oh, yeah.
He's got such a presence. You know, he's not a big man, but he's got the presence of a fucking 10-foot giant. You know, it's
that experience is definitely, like, inspired me 100% to where I am now. And still to this day, like, I'll look at his work and go back, like, archive so far back, and I'll try and pick things from there, and you know, like, and then I guess from him, like Oriental, you know, style, it made me fall in love with it. Like, I couldn't look past it after that.
And
like,
it's not Japanese, it's a crazy Chinese painter style.
It's like, I don't know if this is a true story, but I heard he was painting like that style from a young age. Like, his family, like, I think he chose to be a painter or an artist.
Yes, he did. Yeah, like, he's trained, classically trained. Yeah,
from like before tattooing.
Yeah,
and then because you look at his stuff, it's all brushy. Like, you know, like, it was just even now, man, I look at his stuff and I'm like, this cunt's fucking like too good. Like, but you know, some people just don't understand, and I never like. Sometimes I don't understand stuff, and down the track I understand a bit more, but I don't need to justify.
No.
You know, his
like
talent.
him for me, he's a tattooer's tattooer and an artist's tattooer sort of thing.
Yeah.
You know. So when you went there, like even back then, just to fly over to China. China's still quite difficult to get around. It's not like you're going to Europe or anything. You know, you're definitely an outsider. How did you find that experience? Did you just go over on your own?
So at the time, my sister was living in London.
Yep. And
with her husband, and I flew over there with my mum, and we did like a little summer Euro trip.
Cool.
And then, because when we flew to the UK, we stopped over at China, and then when we flew back, our stopover stopped at China. So I said to my mum, can we just hang out here for a couple of days and I'll get tattooed by Dong Dong? And she's like, yeah, cool. So I spent 2 or 3 days in China, in Bangkok, Beijing, and it was pretty crazy, man. Like, it took me 2 hours to get a cab out of the airport. No one wanted to deal with me. You know? I was getting yelled at. I had my suitcase in a cab, then out of a cab. And then I'm arguing with my mom, saying, shut up, let me handle it. Like, you know, like, and then all I had was like a bit of paper. Like, we were so unorganized, man. Like, because I'd done Thailand 10 times and Bali and fucking all these countries where you just get off the plane and just go, I want to go to fucking town. And you're there in 20 minutes for $2.
Yeah.
You know, so I had to get all the currency shit right and see if I was getting ripped off or not. And ended up, so Dong Dong, he like gave me a place to stay. And I swear it was like half brothel, half hotel. It was like something dodgy was going in there. But
it was accommodating. Yeah,
he was looking after me good there. And I was with my mum as well. So each morning there was these little little cards. I think I still got some, but it's like a little like escort, like 1-800 card with the Chinese girl on there. And I'd have like 50 under my door every day. And I'm like trying to scrape them up before my mum wakes up and shit. Weird. But so
you were busy
I
last night, son.
What is that?
You were busy last night.
Where'd you go at 2 in the morning?
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, so like it was weird, man. It was I still want to go back there and like do it my way, but it was pretty like it was hard to get around there. And I was staying about 1.2 k's away from his studio. And I had like $4,000 in my backpack because I just used to take that much money with me, like when I would go see him, because you never know, like his prices were high and he'd just charge you whatever. So I walked to his place like 3 or 4 blocks and I couldn't find it. Like it was so hard to find.
The one up in the building.
Yeah, so I found it the first time. I got there first go, and I got to the lobby, and this kind of security guard dude was like, we were just arguing. I'm like, Dong Dong tattoo, like, I'm from Australia, like, I'm got an appointment. He's like, fuck off, like, get out of here, like, leave. I'm like, fuck, what do I do? I've got an appointment in like 30 minutes. This guy's gonna rip my head off. Like, I don't want to be late for this guy, you know? So on the Google Maps, someone had set his studio in like a ghetto. Like as a second location.
Right.
It was so strange, man. So I ended up going there. I'm like, fuck, I'm just gonna go to this one. It was on Google Maps, mummy tattoo and everything. And I ended up walking through this small, like it was like a big concrete slab, and it had all these little like cubes made out of concrete, and people were living in them, man, and they were tiny. Wow. Yeah, they were about up to my chest high. And they were just like fucking 3 meter like squares, and there was people in there cooking, and there was flames, and like people were gambling on the street, and I was just cruising
through
robbed. I was like, I'm gonna get kidnapped and shit. So I got
like, they're gonna like cut my organs out and sell them.
I was ready for it, man. My fists were clenched. But so I got into there, and people started popping out and walking, and I just ran out of there. And I went back to the hotel, and this sweet little Chinese girl wrote me like 10 little like cards,
Yep.
and I sort of just give them to someone as I got a little bit closer, and I got up to the security guard again, and I gave it to him. And he's like, "Oh yes, you come dong dong," and up in the thing straight away. So yeah, it was pretty cool, man. I got there in the end, and my mum did Great Wall of China that day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
And she lost the tour like 5 minutes in, and she was stranded there by herself. Yeah, I got back to the hotel with like in pain. I'd just been butchered for like 6 hours, and I see her like red burnt as fuck, and she's like, we just look at each other and like almost start crying. Like,
wow. At that time, awesome. Were you still working at Maryland's?
Yeah, I was still there.
Yeah. And so after that, like, were you getting other tattoos as well at that time, or was that coming to the end of your time at Maryland's?
Yeah, I think by then I had both my arms done.
Yep.
I'd gotten some stuff on my guts.
Yep.
And then I had like a leg sleeve done by one of the guys there, outlined.
Yep.
And that's it. But I was like, had a fair bit of tattoos by like, I had one leg, both my arms.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Like early 20s.
Yeah, like 23, 24. Yeah. And then I think when I got back from there, I found like a magazine, like a Tattoo Life magazine.
Yep.
And it had like some of Matty D. Mooney's work in there. And then it was like a dragon leg sleeve, and I found him on Instagram, and I went up there straight away and booked in for a back job.
Yeah, mad. What did you get on your back from Matty?
I got like a big like grimy style skull, Kapala.
Yep.
Yeah, just a big skull, and that was when I started traveling interstate.
Where was Matty working then?
Fuck, he was working Black Heat. What's it called? It was the Dagger and Lark.
Yep.
Yeah, the one out. What's it called? You know.
Is it Bayswater or out that way?
Bayswater, yeah.
Bayswater, yeah. Cool.
Yeah, so about our train trip.
Yeah.
At the time, so that's when everything was happening, when I was ready to leave. Like, I'd made up my mind that I'm leaving the studio. There was a couple of dramas and stuff was getting pretty crazy at the time.
Yep.
And then, so I had a guy, so I wanted to leave, and they said, you can leave, but we need someone to replace you.
Yep.
So I found a guy at the gym, and I was training him up, and I took him down to Melbourne with me, and then I was like, thought I was so cool. Like, look at this guy I got. Like, I'm like, you're coming with me because I don't want to go by myself. Like, I'll pay for your tickets, I'll pay for the accommodation, whatever. Yeah. And then I went down there, and I got along with Matt real good, and I think after that, like, he works so fast, he's so cruisy, like, he was like another dude too. I was just like, fuck, this guy's unreal. Like, you know, I need to spend as much time around this guy as I can. Yeah. And then he did lots of stuff on me. He did my back, my front, my ribs, my torso. He tied up heaps of stuff. Yeah. And then he put me onto someone else.
Yeah, nice. Where did you after Maryland's? Where did you go and work after then?
So after Maryland's, around that time was when I was going up to the Gold Coast to party and live it up. You know what it's like back in the day. Yeah. Old Surfers Paradise. So I had a few like friends and stuff up there. Yeah. And I'd always loved it there, and I always thought like, this is where I'm going to end up. So
just one endless holiday.
Yeah, I was like, this should be fun. We'll see what happens. Like, and I think at the time, man, like I felt like that's when I had this feeling in me, like I don't belong here. Yeah. I don't know if you've ever had it, but it's like nothing else matters except what you don't know yet. So
yeah, you got to go out and find it.
Yeah, so I went up there. I met like a girl on Instagram, and she was working at a studio down in Burleigh Heads. Yep. On the Gold Coast Highway, and I went down
Borderline. Yep.
No, it was called Immortal.
Oh, Immortal, yeah, Immortal Images near the Maccas.
Yes, that's the one.
Yep. Yep.
So I went there. Yeah, I did a guest spot. It was all right. Didn't really know anything back then, so I thought, fuck, I just got to go. And I lasted about 2 weeks there.
Yep.
I'd done like 3 tattoos in 2 weeks.
Yeah, fuck that.
And it was like the owner's friends and shit, like they were just like, oh, he wants to get this fixed up. I'm like, yeah, fuck.
Yep.
This sucks. Like, what have I done? Like,
yep.
You know, but at that time I had a mate that he was working up at Josh's shop in Fresh Ink.
Yep.
So that's Curtis 613. So
I
went to see him,
yep.
and then I met another guy, Mystic Rhys.
Yep.
The lettering legend up in Brisbane. He owns Harpoon and High Water. So I met him, and straight away he was cool. He was like, "Man, you should come work here." Like, you know, because I was telling him, I'm like, "This place is fucked. Like, Gold Coast sucks. Like, there's no work here." Yep. And then I'm looking at like 10 guys like just crunching out tattoos. So I flicked Josh a message on Facebook. Had a meeting with him like I think that same day or the next day.
Yep.
And like we just clicked, and he hired me, and we've been good mates ever since. And I've gone back and forwards a few times with him.
Yep.
And he's just like, he's one of my good mates now. Like,
yeah, he's done amazing with Fresh. I think around that time, that sort of broke the mold of the Gold Coast shops. It you know, had a barber, like still has a barber, the graffiti side of it, all that sort of thing. You know, out of like the Gold Coast Surfers Paradise area. He's done amazing, and like you said, so many people just crushing it out there, doing
it was good to see
non-stop
like
work.
a young guy. Yeah, he was so young at the time. He was 2 years younger than me.
Yep.
You know, he had this. It was cool at the time because he was young. We were all young. There was no rules, like
the
whole
hungry.
system. Yeah, it was kind of forming like. It wasn't like anywhere else I'd worked before, so and there was tons of work, man. I was booked out. I was the coolest guy on the Gold Coast. I knew how to do sleeves. I didn't have any shitty tattoos running around. You know, I was fresh as a daisy. I knew how to do realism. Every fucking like that's when I started doing Japanese, like seriously. But you know, jobs came in. I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. I'll do this. I'll do that. Color, black and grey, dots, fucking whatever. I'll do it. So. Yeah, it was good there. And then I stayed there for like 2 years, I think.
Yeah, nice. Well, doing all that sort of stuff, being so versatile, I imagine a lot of that comes from just that era of tattooing and being at Maryland. You've got to do everything.
Yeah, man.
You know, you can't just pick and choose. Oh, I don't want to do that.
Well, like, I think I was so young and excited that it didn't matter. Like, the sound of the machine was like...
Just a tattoo is... all that matters.
Yeah, and like you kind of like you're the cool dude at the time. Like, your clients like like taking photos and like adding you on Facebook and shit, and like their mates would come in and you're like, you want to get fucking Old English on your back? Yeah, come next week.
Yeah. Come meet my mate. Come meet my mate Blake. He's a sick cunt. You know, like
it's good.
But that's still relevant today, and that's really cool when you tattoo someone and you give them a great time and a great tattoo, they're pumped that you're their guy then, and they want to bring their mates to you and all that sort of stuff. That's one of the special things of tattooing that's you know still relevant today and super cool.
Yeah, like that's why I think from a young age, like I've realized how important it was, like having good relationships with your clients. And their friends and their girlfriends even, like, because you never know, you get a message from someone one day like, my neighbor wants this and you did my boyfriend's tattoo, and I remember I'm like, fuck this.
Someone just put up in the comments a while ago that you know you tattooed their mate quite a few years ago, and it still looks amazing. So whoever's out there, like, sorry that we can't answer all the questions and stuff, and not that we're being rude or anything, but we're going to try and get to it later on. But sorry. So, but also, Blake, if you see anything, feel free to jump in and you know, say hi and all that sort of stuff. Yeah,
for sure.
And there sounds right. You can't afford to be an arsehole these days. Yeah. where back in the day, you know, I've worked with people that were the fucking biggest cunts out and were still busy. Like, brutal, man. Like, you know, I smirk about it and laugh because it was fucked. But I'd just be like, wow, you just said that? Or wow, you just treating that person like that?
I seen multiple punch-ups in the studio after the client had paid for the tattoo and then argued with one of the guys about the price and then had a punch-up and then shake hands. And I was like, fuck, this is fucking nuts, man. Like, you just tattooed this guy for 6-7 hours and you're fighting with him at the end.
Oh, mate, like Benji, me and Benji worked at Skin Effects for a long time on the Goldie, like, you know, years before you got up there. And like, we used to work with this big fat beast of a dude called Todd de Brouwer. Amazing tattooer, amazing machine man, but rough as fuck and rude as fuck. And I remember one time a guy's come into the waiting room. It's Todd's turn. He gets a scorpion. Todd's like, where do you want it, mate? And he's like, I want it here. And he's like, really? You sure you want it there? He's like, yep. He's like, all right. He puts the stencil on. It's not centered. It's forward. And Todd's like, go and have a look in the mirror, mate. He's like, no, it's all right. Sat down and deliberately tattooed it on him in the wrong position. And then the guy looks in the mirror, came back and complained. And he's like, shut up, fuckhead. I put it where you wanted me to do it. I told you to look in the mirror and you didn't want to. Just pay me and fuck off. Like, and I'd be like, wow, you know. But yeah, you can't do that now. You're over. And that's good. That's a good thing.
Yeah, it's definitely good. Like, the amount of arguments I had with guys in the past with that kind of shit, you know, at the time it meant nothing because you could get away with murder.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, your reputation lasts forever, dude. Like, I always had that in the back of my head from like a young age. Like, I was very self-conscious of my actions.
Yep.
And then what spins me out even more is when I look at stuff I used to write when I was younger, I was a fucking idiot. Like, so I wasn't even doing it right, but subconsciously, like, it, just mainly with women, like, I never would be weird to women in the studio because I was the guy always like, nah, don't worry about him, he's just drunk, or like, because like when I first started tattooing, like, we had creeps in the shop all the time, man, and I was the dude that was like, don't worry, he's a fucking flop, like, he does that to everyone, like, he's a loser, and like, so I kind of was like, this is a better attitude for me to have than trying to be like, I'm a tattooer, like, I can get any girl. Like,
no, you're a decent person, mate, you know.
I just watched it backfire for years. Like, even when I used to go clubbing, I'd watch all these dudes on the dance floor whispering in girls' ears, and then I'd watch them turn and react to their mates and laugh, and then, you know what I mean? I'm like, I never want to be that guy getting laughed at.
No, it's embarrassing, mate. It's embarrassing. But, you know, even if, you know, going back to all that sort of stuff, even if you look at, like, TV ads from the 50s and the 60s, the way they portrayed a man, how he would interact with a woman was fucking disgusting, you know. So now, but being aware of that back then as well, because tattoo shops were pretty wild, and you know, you can see with all this Me Too movement right now that's going on in tattooing, there's a lot of that stuff going on as well. And you don't want to be anywhere near it. And you know, like, I know, you know, in our shop, I've weeded people out because of, you know, those sort of things. And it's like, you always got to think as well, what if that was my sister or you know, or my girlfriend or something like that?
Yeah, it's not right.
No.
Yeah, so, and like you said, man, like, there's those pages now exposing all that stuff, and like, bro, the internet is like 1 million people, like a billion people, like, can see that shit. Like,
it can be
end your career.
It'd be your best friend or your worst nightmare. So so with all that, with so all your stuff up on at Fresh, who else were you working with? Like, obviously Mystic and Curtis, Josh, obviously.
Yeah. So there's a bloke called Gino. You might know him. He's worked on the Gold Coast for like 15 years.
Okay.
He did Surfers. He did like all who's the bloke that owned like 4 studios in Surfers?
Paul Braniff, that I used to work for. Skin Effects, Crossfire. Yep.
No, there's another guy.
Oh, maybe Marco, the Surf and Ink guy.
Yeah. No, like a.
Oh, maybe Jaff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jaff.
Yeah.
So he's worked for a bunch of those guys. Gino's a legend. He's just like a all-rounder tattooer, just the champion of the dude. So I work with him. He's still there now. He's like the bones of the shop.
Yeah, cool.
Like, just a crazy, just whip out any tattoo. Like, no stress, best customer service, most polite guy. Like has 4 kids or 3 kids and like a crazy life going on, and he's just a champion. So even like people like that I met in, like, everyone I've met along the way, old, young, has given me so much. Like, every fucking person. So good and bad. So I was working with him, Kurt, Rhys,
Yep.
Josh, another guy, Kiwi guy called Ups.
Yep.
He's got a studio in Pack Pines now called
Okay.
Good Vibration, just a little poly shop.
Yep.
And then I think it was just us. That was the beginning. Like that was the first kind of solid little crew there.
Yep.
And then
were you guys
Nico,
doing conventions and stuff?
No. I don't think we didn't do a show for like a few years until
Yep.
we had a solid, like we had a crew like maybe a year and a half into that.
Yep.
So yeah, we had like yeah, we didn't do a show for a while. Yeah. So yeah,
Cool.
yeah, just trying to remember.
Because I think you worked up at Fresh twice, didn't you? So after the first stint up there, where'd you go then? Was it back to Sydney?
So I only lasted like 7 months the first time.
Yep.
So it's pretty weird. Like I went to a festival and just had too much of a good time. And the next day I just was like, I miss my mom.
Yeah.
I miss my
Needed a cuddle.
family.
Yep.
Yeah, I was living with like a guy I wasn't getting along with. Like,
Yep.
I was just like so new to it. I was running out of money. Like,
Yep.
you know, I wanted to come home. So I came home, and then I said to myself, like, I need 6 months to figure out like where I'm going to go next.
Yep.
And then, so I lasted 6 months in Sydney. That's when I worked at Monarch.
Yeah.
On Clarence
Cool.
Street.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was then. So I did 6 months there, which is good. That's when I met Ron. I knew Ron already, but that's when I got real close with Ron and his wife and a couple of guys I work with now.
Yeah. Nice.
We all formed like a nice friendship there, and then
I'm
we all
pretty
went our own way.
sure that would have been maybe 5 years ago, 6 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, it would have been 2015, 2016.
Yeah, something like that. Because I think I come through with my mate Lau
Yeah.
Hardy that time.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, like showing him around all the shops, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so I did 6 months there because I got a 6 months lease in North Sydney in a small studio apartment, and I said after this, I'm gonna go back to Melbourne.
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
go to Melbourne because that's when my best mate Chris Sunke was there, and I was traveling to Melbourne because I was traveling to Melbourne for years after I got
Yep.
tattooed off Matt. I was going there like every couple months, like just
Yep.
getting tattooed, and like I had heaps of mates there and stuff. So Melbourne was like this place is rad. Like, you know, it's like
the mecca of tattooing.
it was fucking awesome. But I always felt was always intimidated by Melbourne, like as an art like side. I was like, these guys are too good. Like I'm still a little fucking shit kicker.
Yeah,
so,
Melbourne's kind of like the San Francisco of Australia.
Yeah. So I was always like, I always wanted to go there and give it a crack, but I had to go when I was ready. So then after 6 months in Sydney, I was burnt out again, and I went up to visit Josh, and he was living on Hope Island. He had a golf buggy, he had his own house. You know, he had like a 3 or 4 bedroom, you know, he had 3 or 4 bedrooms there. Like, so I was like in this little golf buggy. He was picking me up from the airport in a new car. Nice. I was like, fuck, this guy's killing it. Like, in 6 months, look at all the shit he's done. Like, he was so good to me. Like, you know, he's always on my team. And I was like, fuck, I need to be with this guy. He's too good at business. He's too good of a dude. He's too good of a mate to me. Like, he's got work coming out of his ass out of that shop. And then one of his guys there, Nico, like a legend of a dude too, I ended up moving in with him. So we got a small place on Mermaid Beach. Yeah, cool. And we were both single at the time. It worked out nice. So I moved back there, and I stayed there for like another 2 or 3 years, I think. Yeah,
man, that's a good stint.
Yeah, it was good.
You know, and I imagine around that time, I think I remember being at one of the Sydney conventions and after party one time, and you were working up there. I think it was at Frankie's or something, but I think you were up there working at Josh's, and you'd both come down for it or something like that. Yeah, that's it. So I imagine around then you were starting to do more conventions. Were you at that time? Were you starting to? Because I know you did a lot of time in Thailand and you've worked over there. So were you doing that then, or was that all through this period?
Yeah, that was that was all through then because when I worked with Josh,
Yep.
it was so cool. I could take a holiday whenever I wanted. You know, so
Yep.
I'd just say next week I'm going to Thailand for 2 weeks,
Yeah,
and he's
man.
like, "Fuck, I might come with you." I'm like, you never know.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you know, so I was doing so much traveling. I did every show. I think around that time I did like every single show besides the small Queensland ones. So I was doing Perth, Sydney, Brizzy, Melbourne,
Yeah,
Rites
wow.
of Passage, and Melbourne Tattoo Convention.
Yep.
I just did every show because I was like on the expo like
Yep.
bandwagon. Like I was
On
like,
the
"Fuck, this is
train.
mad." Like, yeah,
Yep.
I wanted to give it a shot. So I think, yeah. So
And I
I did
think when you're in such a cool creative environment like Fresh was, you know, and still is, like, and you've got your crew and everyone's pumped on tattooing, it's just a momentum. You just want to get more and more and see more and learn more and see
Yeah.
more things and
It
more
was good too.
places, and you're just a sponge. You can't get enough.
Yeah, because I'd already worked in Sydney, and then I'd worked in Queensland, and then I had like a few mates in Melbourne.
Yep.
When I came to Sydney, I do the shows with Skin Deep. When I go to Melbourne, I do the shows with Oculus and like all those guys up there. And when I was in Brizzy, I do the shows with Fresh. So I always had a studio to go and do a show with. So it was nice.
Yeah.
And I always felt like I had like family. Like these guys are my family. Like they're all my, like, you know what it's like when you're so into tattooing, your mates that you knew before tattooing, they don't know you. Like you just make relationships with these new guys so quick. And it was just like that. So
you make firm and fast friendships that you know last for
firm
life
fast
sometimes.
enemies.
Yeah, mate. I tell you what, like we're gonna have to do part 2 because we're nearly out of time, mate. So what we might do now is we'll just go, and I text you about this going. It'll probably happen because you know, like I know you for a long time, and I know you got such a cool story. So what we'll do now, mate, we'll just go through some of the comments and say hi to everyone and that sort of thing. And then what we'll do, mate, we'll make a plan whether, if not tomorrow night, are you free on Sunday night?
Yeah, I can do whatever night.
Yeah, cool. Because I just got to double, triple confirm someone for tomorrow. And if worst case scenario, we'll do Sunday if we can't do tomorrow night. So, yeah, so we've got lots of people saying hi and all that sort of stuff, waving. We've got, Danny waving, blah, blah, blah. Rusty Wolf, champion. What else have we got here? We've got O. Kamosi, Yul Blake. So we've got a bunch of people coming through saying hi. All this sort of... Who's Rapunzel? That must be you.
Me. Must be my alter ego.
There you go.
Anyways, I just want to say, like, everyone that tuned in, good on you.
Yeah.
Anyone that tattooed out there, fucking, I hope you're still happy with the work I've done.
Yeah, you are, mate. Like one of my favorite things is I love your style, Blake. You're one of the rare ones as well that's got an instantly recognizable style, you know, which is one of the hardest things to do. You know, in a sea of, whether it's a sea of traditional, a sea of ornamental or Japanese or portraits, your stuff definitely stands out. And if you've got half an education on tattooing, whether you're a customer or a tattooer, you know straight away it's yours, which is one of the biggest achievements I think you can get as a tattoo artist. So, you know, I take my hat off for you too. And like when we were talking before on the phone, man, like how old are you now? Early 30s?
I just turned 32 like a couple months ago.
Yeah, mate, I 30, then I was still a street shop man. So one of the things I'm envious of yourself and a lot of other younger tattooers is you're going to have such a long creative career doing like custom work, which is amazing. And I'm, like I said, I'm envious of it. So, you know, it's going to be so interesting, like, you know, when you're my age and then even older, you're going to look back and you're going to see like a long progression, which is going to be like super cool.
Yeah,
so,
I think at the same time, like, I'm super thankful for the older generation, or like, you know, guys like yourself that kind of paved the way for us as well. Like all the guys I look up to is like yourself, William Yoniyama, Evan, like those guys, like all around the same kind of age, like, and they're fucking crushing it too. And like, so that gives me like motivation too, like, you know, so
Yeah.
You know, you might be like 10, 20 years extra experience, but like you guys are still, I think you forget where you're at too, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, and that's it. You just like, you know, like you just get your head down. And like for me, like I've probably got 15, if I'm lucky, 20 good years left, as long as I stay healthy, keep my body going and all that sort of stuff. You know, where, you know, I've been tattooing 30 years and just fucking, it flies, man. You know, like, where did that time go? Mate, anyway, I'm going to have to, it's not about me, it's about you. So, I'm going to finish up now. I'm going to say thanks so much, Blake. So everyone stay tuned later on. I'll post later tonight or tomorrow morning. If it's not Blake tomorrow night, we'll have him in on Sunday because we've got part 2. I don't think we've even got to the halfway mark, mate. And, you know, we're just getting warmed up. So now stay tuned for all the good stuff. So thanks so much, everyone. Thank you, Blake. And
thanks, mate. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to do this stuff.
No, mate,
awesome.
it's amazing. Like for me, it's cool. Like, you know, I love tattooing as much as you and the next person. And it's exciting for all of us, especially in these times, man, where we can't do nothing. So this kind of helps keep the spirit alive and keeps us all sort of connected and that sort of stuff.
I think it's also super good what you're doing because like so many other people get to see what these guys are like in real life, you know?
Yeah. Yep.
Like I was watching
more than just an Instagram profile, you know. Actually,
I was watching the one with Evan the other day, and I was like, this is exactly who this guy is. Like, if you wouldn't want to get tattooed, like I remember I got tattooed off Evan a couple of years ago, and I was like, I fucking love this guy. Like, it's so funny. Like, just the shit that comes out of his mouth. I'm like, you know, people need to see that stuff. You know.
Yeah. And mate, he's obsessed. He could talk tattooing nonstop, 24/7. You know, loves it. You know, and you see it in his work. All right, mate. I love you. If not tomorrow night, I'll see you Sunday.
For sure, man. Sounds good.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thanks so much.